Hi kids! I wanted to take time to read you a story just like I usually do, though I don't do it in this way usually. It's a story called The Present. Now you remember Abraham was chosen by God, and God promised him a son, and then a son was born named Isaac, and Abraham loved that son. And now God knew that his secret rescue plan for the whole world would only work if Abraham trusted him completely. God had to make sure that Abraham would do whatever he asked. So a few years after Isaac was born, God asked Abraham for a present. Now, Abraham liked giving God presents. He gave God presents all the time. He gave him his animals. They were called sacrifices. And they were a way to say, I love you, to God. God wanted Abraham, though, to give him something more than an animal. He wanted Abraham to give him his son, his only son, the son he loved, Isaac. Put his boy on an altar and kill him? How could God want that? That's a terrible thing. Abraham didn't understand, but he knew that God was his father, and he loved him. So Abraham trusted him. Early the next morning, Abraham and Isaac, they set off. They climbed the steep, stony trail up the mountain. Isaac carried the wood, and Abraham carried the fire and the knife. Papa, Isaac said, we've got the fire, we've got the wood, but where is the sacrifice? We don't have a lamb. God will give us the lamb, my son, Abraham said. They built an altar and laid the wood on top, and then Abraham asked his son to climb onto the altar. Isaac didn't understand, but he knew that his father loved him, and so he trusted him. He climbed up onto the altar, and Abraham tied his boy onto the wood. Isaac didn't struggle. He didn't run away. He just laid there quietly and didn't make a sound. Everything was ready. Abraham took his knife. Tears filled up in his eyes, and pain was filling his heart. His hand was shaking. He lifted the knife high into the air. Stop, God said. Don't hurt the boy. I want him to live and not to die. I know now that you love me, and that you would have given me your only son. Abraham felt his heart leap with joy. He unbound Isaac and folded him in his arms. Great sobs shook the old man's body. Scalding tears filled his eyes, and for a long time they stayed there like that, in each other's arms, the boy and the dad. Suddenly, Abraham saw a ram caught in some brambles, the sacrifice. God had given them what they needed just in time. The ram would die, so Isaac didn't have to. And so Abraham sacrificed the ram instead of his son. And as they sat there on the mountaintop, watching the embers of their fire die in the cool night air, the stars above them sparkling in the velvet sky, God helped Abraham and Isaac understand something. God wanted his people to live and not die. God wanted him to rescue his people, not punish them. But they must trust him. One day someone will be born into your family, God promised them, and he will bring happiness to the whole world. God was getting ready to give the whole world a wonderful present. It would be God's way to tell his people, I love you. Many years later, another son would climb another hill carrying wood on his back. Like Isaac, he would trust his father and do what his father asked. He wouldn't struggle, he wouldn't run away. Who was he? Do you know? He was God's son, his only son, the son he loved, the Lamb of God. I think it's nice to know that God is a father who loves us, and we can trust him, and because we trust him, we don't ever have to be afraid.